Hi there, everybody. Hi, Neil Sinkley here. Just thanks very much for joining us on the video today. This is video 4. So on video 4 for our choices and outcomes book that my brother Brent Sinclair, and myself, Neil Sinclair, will be doing later on in 2017. So look, apologies from Brent today. It's Sunday evening here in New Zealand, and Brent is actually, he's not very well today. Brent's actually had another little seizure on Thursday, and he's also got a bit of the flu, so he won't be with us today, unfortunately. So hopefully he's going to have a speedy recovery. Today I want to talk to you about education, okay? So and the importance of education. And look, the whole book, the whole concept of the book is really about education. So we're sharing with people about the choices we've made during our lives, and hopefully educating people about the way they're thinking about the choices they're going to be making, so the decisions they make. So I want to talk to you about the key components of education and why it's such an important thing. And look, many of you will understand that education is a lifelong experience, so, and for the teenagers that we're particularly targeting and the young adults, look, it's not just about doing what you need to do at school, it's about learning so many different things. If you Google different forms of intelligence, you'll find there's lots of different descriptions on there, but the most common one is that there's 9 different levels of intelligence that we need to have. And I'll just name a few of those. I'm not going to go through all 9, but there's a naturalist intelligence, which is about being nature smart. There's musical intelligence, about being sound smart. Logical mathematical intelligence, about knowing the numbers and reasoning. Look, it's such an important thing to know your numbers. So if you think about that, people think, well, what do I need to know all the maths for? Well, okay, well, look, if you're going to be dealing with money, you need to understand the numbers there. If you're going to be, buying things at the shop, then you do things there. If you want to lose weight like I'm doing, I need to understand the calories. Numerical mastery is an important thing. Knowing numbers for sales, marketing, all that sort of stuff in business, things at work you'll need it for. You definitely need to understand numbers. Okay, so it's important. Existential intelligence is another one here, which is about life smart. There's bodily kinesthetic intelligence for body smart. So look, I'm not going to go through all 9 of the different intelligence forms stipulated on Google, but they're just classic examples there. So look, so why is that important? Now look, think about, if you want to have a great quality of life, I'm afraid you've always got to be educating yourself. Now, what I mean by that, so look, think about whatever it is that you want to achieve in your life, and the things you want to do, whether it's building a house or going on a trip overseas or improving your physical conditioning in some way, or taking up a hobby, whatever it is for you. Well, then look, there's 3 things that you really need to reflect on. The first one is, what knowledge do you need, okay, to be able to successfully do whatever it is that you want to do. The second one is, what skills will you need to be able to do that? And the third one is, what attitude do you need, in order to be able to do that successfully? So look, the knowledge part of it's definitely part of the education, and so is the skills. Okay, so if you think about that, so look, whatever it is you want to improve in your life, if it's a hobby or go on holiday or, be able to do something, you need to improve your knowledge. So think about what is the forms of education you have available to you to increase your knowledge and awareness of those situations. So we're talking about decision making, and whether it's around your health or choices you're making, but it's also to do with any other improvement you want in your life. Now look, I have adopted education as a lifelong thing for me. Look, just the background alone tells you that I'm into my learning. So I've got a couple of bookshelves of business books that I've read over the last few years, and there's about half a dozen that I haven't read yet. But it's not just books, it's I do at least 2 webinars a week online, and they're free. Okay, I'm downloading podcasts from the internet on, if you go to iTunes, you can search for podcasts, upload them to my smartphone. There is videos. You can, if you want to find out anything on a video, go to YouTube and search for it, and you can pretty much find it. So there is no reason for you not to get educated on the things you need to learn about in order to do whatever it is you want to do well, and do it correctly. So now, in addition to that, I have spent personally about $200,000 on my own education in the last 15, 16 years, traveling to business conferences, courses, buying stuff online. There's a range of things that I've done. It's been my choice to do that, and I could afford to do that. To help better myself for my personal and business goals. And that's included taking family overseas with stuff and a few things as well. So, just think about what are the things you've done. It doesn't have, as I said earlier, it doesn't need to cost you money. but education is absolutely critical. Now, the other factor on that also is what sort of learning modality you have. So how do you learn? And don't use your perception of your own intelligence or the way you like learning stop you from learning. Okay, so look, I've in my career as a business coach, I've worked with well over 300 businesses, and about a quarter of those have been tradespeople who have typically dropped out of school early because they were either dyslexic or they had ADHD. They didn't know it at the time. That wasn't called those things back then. But they dropped out of the scholastic system at the age of 15 or 16 because they didn't learn the way the scholastic system taught them. And they've learned a trade, and they're now running very successful companies. They're employing people. They're paying taxes to the government. They're offering a great service to their local communities. And yet many of these people still regard themselves as dummies because they didn't learn the way people traditionally learn at school. Well, that's just, that's a mistaken identity and perception to look at yourself that way. Please don't think that way. Like if you're not into reading books, you don't learn, if you're dyslexic or anything like that, then, download audios, get podcasts, watch videos, do YouTube, go to live seminars. There's things you can do to learn. Get a mentor who understands that sort of stuff to help you with those things. There's ways of you learning these days to actually learn the knowledge, skills, and attitude you need to have to successfully do things. Now look, and think about your attitude aspect. I really want to talk about your attitude because it's a key thing in life. Look, and I want you to check your attitude daily. So first of all, understand the things it is that you want to work on, but more importantly, and work to learn those things. But also check your attitude during the day to have a good day. Now, let me put that in perspective. So as an example, a great friend of mine who's also a mentor, and he runs some fantastic courses in the UK, his name's Richard Wilkins. He calls himself the Minister of Inspiration. He works with his partner Liz Ivory, and they run some courses on BC and about the script and stuff. Well, one of the great things I learned from them about attitude is, I wake up every morning and I do the no wood check. I push my elbows out, and if there's not the wood of a coffin there, I got another one. So I have an obligation and a commitment and a responsibility to make that another great day. I choose how that's going to be. People can. I get crap thrown at me during the day as well. I get to choose though how I react to that. Now there's a natural reaction to it. Richard and Liz will talk about the script, so to speak. But you become more aware of this stuff, and over time I've got better at reacting to things and being more aware of how I react to things, so, and I make sure I make the most of those things. How do I choose to react to that, So one of the things, if you're not aware of your attitude during the day, then a little tip for you is to grab your smartphone, set your timer on your clock there to ring every hour, 2 hours, whatever you want it to be, and just put in the attitude check. Okay, so and just when it goes off, stop and think for a minute or two. What is your attitude at the moment? How have you reacted to your scenario, whether you're at work or whatever you're doing, in the last hour or two? How's that been? And how's that affected the way you felt about that experience in your day? So look, I'm not saying everything's all chocolates and roses for me, because it's not. We all have crap in our lives. Okay, so I've chosen to help Brent as an example in his situation. For people who don't know me personally, like we had a very traumatic experience in our lives just recently where my first and only grandchild passed away in his sleep at 13 months of age in August 2016. He was 13 months old and he just died in his sleep, didn't wake up. There's nothing wrong with him. He's had all the tests and everything, so we all have crap to deal with. It's how we go through that. Now look, we've had counselling and spoken to people about it and been very open to my daughter and to get my daughter and my son-in-law through all that stuff. So that's just an example of we all have issues to deal with in our lives, and it's about balance. It's about accepting the yin and the yang. It's about accepting there's going to be good and bad and indifferent, and how we choose to react to those things in life. So and these are choices that we make that that help keep us sane. It helps us with our mental health, and our physical health for that matter. But we've got it's an awareness thing. This is why education is such a key thing. And look, most people get their education through trial and error, through lifelong experience as well. That didn't work, or they're not actively managing their education. You have the opportunity to do that. And listen, if you've watched any of my other videos, and I've talked about, if we live to the average age of 85, 4,420 weeks, that's what we get. How many do you want to waste? What have you done in the last week, as an example? Have you worked on making it a great week? You know, so think about that, your attitude. So what is the knowledge, skills, and attitude? And you're going to get all those three things through education and awareness every week. Work on that every week to actually help improve the quality of your life in both short, medium, and long-term decisions. You know, so just think about the goals you want to achieve. You know, write some of those things down if you want. You don't have to write them down. It's up to you. You know, do you have a, you know, you've seen, the movies with a bucket list and things like that. There's lots of goal-setting things out there. So it depends on how formal you want to be with it. But, education is key for a better quality of life. If you want to have a better quality of life, you want to get 100% out of your life, then educate yourself on how to do that. Now, the attitude side of things, the reason why that's so important is because you can have the right knowledge, you can have the right skills, but if you don't have the right attitude to apply that knowledge and skills, then it's going to go, the wrong way, isn't it? You can use knowledge and skills for good or for bad. And one of the courses I did was Anthony Robbins' course, as an example, and I think I use the rule of three for that. Is it good for me? Is it good for others? Is it good for the greater good? And that's an attitude check for me as well. So whether I want to do that. Now it's got to have those three things. If it is, then let's do it. Okay, if it's not, then okay, do we need to do that a different way? As an example, just ask those sort of things. So it's an education for ourselves and getting us thinking about this before we actually take action on this stuff and possibly harm someone or yourself or a family member or a member of the community in some way, shape or form. How do we make it a win-win-win? How do we make what we're doing a win-win-win? That's an attitudinal thing. So look, now whether you've had in your life at the moment where you're coming from a scarcity mentality or an abundance mentality, or whether it's you're coming from a very outgoing attitude mentality, or you're coming from a more sorrowful mentality, where you're playing a bit of a victim, or you feel you've been the victim. Okay, what I call having a pity party. Okay, now that's not an accusation, it's not pointing the finger at you, it's just getting you to think about the attitude that you generally have and what you do. Are you more of an optimist or a skeptic? Think about those sort of things. So how do you want to feel? Because in the end, during the day, at every moment we have, there's only one thing, we all want the common thing, and that's another thing I learned from Richard, we all want to feel good. That's all we want. We want to feel love and connected, we want to feel good. Okay, that's our fundamental human needs. So what are you doing to feel good? Now, you do get a choice on that. Now, look, we do have negative reactions to things. We have, we often talk about the good angel and the bad angel on our shoulders. They're those little voices in your head. Look, you can change those things when you become aware of them, but they will kick in. But you've got to catch yourself, and you with practice you'll become more and more aware of those voices and what they're saying, and and what you're doing and your attitude and those things. But it starts with education. Education is critical. So what are you doing? Think about those things that you can work on. So what are the videos you can watch? Search on YouTube. Do a Google search on webinars for the things you want to work on in your life. Do a search on iTunes for the podcasts that are available. Most of these things, by the way, are free. They're free. Okay, when I say free, you've got to be paying for the internet. You've got to be at a cafe for free Wi-Fi, or paying the internet online at home yourself, or you might, you need a smartphone. So there is some cost to this. I understand that, to be able to see these things, but you don't have to go and do $1,000 courses or things like that. I mean, there are courses like that out there, and I've done a few of them myself. However, you don't need to be paying for those things to learn a lot of this stuff. Education is absolutely critical for you. All you've got to do is make the time and get on and do it and apply it. That's what it is. So how are you planning your day? Think about your 4,000 weeks I talked about there. So anyway, that's enough from me this week. Education, talked about that. Look, again, please, any questions you have, ask lots of questions. Please continue to like and share the videos. Please continue to like and share our main video. Look, I think when I last looked at it, I think we've had about 44,000 views so far. We're close to 1,000 likes on our site now, on our Facebook page. So thank you for your support with that. Just another little tip too, please. Can you please, if you haven't done so already, on our Facebook page, just below the cover on the right-hand side, on the covering picture, there's a little wee blue box there which says sign up. I've got an ability there for you to put your email address in there, and about once a month we'll be sending out an email, an update on the book stuff and the dates for book relaunches and things like that, so that when we do the book launch release, we'll be doing it through Amazon, so we want to get as many people to subscribe to that as possible and let people know about it, so that we can hopefully hit the one of the best sellers list for that to help promote this as well. And we'd like to take it around our schools. I had an inquiry this week from a couple of sports teams and a couple of schools again for us to talk about this. We're not quite ready for that yet, but we're getting there. So look, thank you for the support, team, and keep asking the questions. Please like and share the video and make comments, etc. on the video, and keep things coming. We'll keep putting things out every week, but we value your support. Thanks very much. Cheers. Bye.